you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. I just had a very long day studying because my exams are going on.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just made dinner. I made dal chawal. So that was really nice. I still
Oh,
haven't
that,
had it, but I'm gonna have it soon. I thought
no,
we
that,
could just hop on for a podcast and record one episode for accommodation in the Netherlands. That's gonna be our
yes.
title today.
I was looking forward to that. I have so much to say on that.
Yeah,
And I
same.
think you do as well.
Yeah, my last whatever years in the Netherlands has just been like accommodation, accommodation. It's just such a pain here, and for some people, it can be the deterrent to not even come study here. It's one of the
Yeah.
biggest issues you could face in Netherlands, actually.
No,
So
I can understand that. I've been in the same boat as well throughout my bachelor's. And I think it's not a secret that accommodation is an issue in the Netherlands, but I think today we'll just get an opportunity to really dive into this from a very
yeah,
personal point of view as well, not
yeah,
only
like
statistical.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say it from a very Indian like perspective, like because I come from Delhi and nobody really tells you these things. Nobody tells you that, the housing is so bad in the Netherlands that you will struggle, struggle, struggle. Universities do say it's going to be really hard and you need to, start 6 months prior, or they are making it much better now. But back in 2021, when I came here, it was just nobody really said anything about how hard it's going to be. You don't know the
Mm.
scope of things and the scope of how hard it can become and how
Yeah,
brutal finding accommodation. It's like a whole, it can become like a whole, like a full-time job basically. And
definitely.
I would say it's much more important for the coming generation who's going to come study here to know these things and know how bad it gets. So we're going to dive into our experiences and yeah, all the nuances of finding accommodation here.
Mm.
So would you like to start off with your experience and uh, just walk us through all the different places that you've lived and how you've approached them
Yeah,
and
so
finding them.
basically, like, I always knew that, studying in the Netherlands has its pros and cons, and one of the big cons was the accommodation and finding accommodation. I just didn't know the gravity of that big con. Um, so for me, when I decided to study in the Netherlands, the summer before that, I was looking for accommodation, and obviously I couldn't find anything, and I was being confronted also with a lot of scam accommodation places. I was looking on different websites, Facebook groups, asking contacts here and there, and either things were really, really expensive. So it's not like there's nothing in the market, but then either you're paying like 900 to 1,000 euros a month, or you're paying for something really dingy, which is just not livable.
Yeah,
So for me to find something, it took a lot of time, and thankfully, my course at that time, because of Corona and all of that, um, was switched to a hybrid format, which
yeah.
meant that the first semester I was able to do it online.
And guys, this just to note, this is very uncommon. Getting
Yeah.
to study online is extremely rare here.
Yeah, it is. It's not something common, but the nature of my course was very international, and many people just couldn't come. So, yeah, they had made it hybrid. So the first year I did it at home. So I was doing the course online, and I was just searching for accommodations throughout, and somehow I found something. But the contract for that was just a couple of months. So in the 3 years, I think I've moved every 3 to 4 months
Hmm.
from
Three
one
to
place
four
to
months.
another.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So by the time I got used to one place, it was already time to move
Hmm.
because the contract was ending and the landlords didn't want to extend it. It was a very crazy time for me, accommodation wise.
And
So
also, these were so before I ask this question, let me just introduce this term called subletting or subleasing, which I think a lot of people know, but just in case. So that's when somebody's already living there on a contractual basis, and then they give that place over to somebody else for the remaining amount or remaining time of their contract. So it's
Yeah.
subleasing, and sometimes people do it without letting their landlords know, or sometimes they do let them know and then they get permission for that. But subleasing is technically illegal here. So
Yeah.
my question to you was, during this time, how many times did you have to live on a sublease, or did you actually get a proper contract with the
Um,
landlords?
yeah. So I think like I must have moved like 4, 5 times, and out of that, at least three of them were proper contracts, and two of them were sublets, which were obviously agreed with the landlord. Subletting is illegal, but I feel like when you communicate with your landlord well, it's also possible because some students they go for a semester abroad or they're doing an internship and they are not staying in their room and they have like a 2 year contract. So it doesn't make sense for them to like just leave that whole contract. And when they discuss that with their landlord, the landlord agrees to, sublet it for a couple months. But then, you have to, it's your responsibility to choose somebody who will abide to the house rules and not just
Yes.
violate any
Yeah.
of the contractual obligations.
Because you have to realize that demand is so high here that
Yeah.
it's not hard to find somebody to take over your
Yeah.
room for some time.
Mm.
And it could be anybody. Like there are so many desperate people. I remember back in 2021 or 2022, there were people. I think maybe you told me this. I don't remember, but there were students who used to, like students of University of Amsterdam, who used to sleep outside the campus, like on the street, because
Yeah,
they
it
did.
was also, yeah, you're right. Like
There's
it was
so
also
many.
in the
There's so
news.
much. The demand is so high. As soon as
Yeah,
any room, like space opens up, people just want it.
yeah, yeah,
So, but that means that you have to be even more like it's more crucial that you filter out the people better,
yeah, yeah.
because you could
No,
have like I think you will touch upon it more, but you could have like a variety of people living together. It could be like a 40-year-old living with a 20-year-old student, or it's
yeah,
very common here.
yeah,
And
definitely.
uh, could you also please tell us how you found these places? Like which medium did you use for each of them?
Yeah, like there's one website. I think you were also using that, like a Dutch website. What do you remember what the
Cabernet.
name? Kamanet. Okay, so
Yeah.
initially I started using Kamanet,
Hmm.
but I couldn't find anything on Kamanet. It felt like a scam.
It is.
Um,
You pay that 35 euros
you
per
pay
month,
35 euros. I
and they
never
keep
paid anything.
reassuring you like, oh yes, you will get it, and then they
I
don't.
don't know anybody who got something through Kamanet, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, there are accommodations, but then you're put on a wait list and then you have to win a lottery or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a whole headache.
Hmm.
So like my mom, my whole family was invested in looking for, an accommodation. They were looking on Kamanet. But then eventually what always worked for me, at least for the first two accommodations, was Facebook groups, Tilburg housing. Yeah, I was sitting in Tilburg, but like housing groups for every city.
Yeah.
And they like you find relatable students who are, it just seems more realistic, more personal. But you have to be careful because in Facebook, like there are a lot of scammers also. So I was about to get scammed as well, but I figured it out. um, and then contacts. Like eventually,
Yeah.
when I settled into the course, then some people write in the group chat, or you can write in a group chat that I'm looking for a place, and then through contacts, you also find a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Facebook is what everybody tells you to do always. Like
Yeah,
personally, like a lot of students coming from the outside, from the international base, they do they do get like this blow gets softened, because
yeah,
for them a lot of people do get like housing,
yeah,
temporary housing through the university, but which is becoming increasingly rarer because of the demand.
yeah.
Like me personally, I got a 1-year place uh, through my university, even though it's not their housing, but they have like third party tie-ups.
Okay.
So international students do get that benefit. But yeah, other than that, people say look up on Facebook, which I think it is a very risky thing to do and very time consuming, and the yield is also not that high. But
Mm.
yeah, you still have to do it, because otherwise there aren't really many reliable places other or websites which can help you get a place. Like these lottery system websites, you can't rely on them because if you need a house and or you need a place in a few weeks or a month, there's just no way, it makes sense to rely on these.
Yeah. And the
And
thing is,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how much money you come with because there's no chance you're gonna get it. Like sometimes some people believe that, okay, I have the money to pay this rent.
yeah.
The competition is too high, you
This
know?
is okay. This is important for everybody to know because uh like okay, if I'm a person who knows nothing about the Dutch market
Hmm.
as a student, by the way, I'm not saying as a working professional. Which by the way, PhD students have also seen this struggle a lot. If you're
Yeah.
just thinking about bachelors, PhD students also suffer a lot with finding
Yeah.
housing. But as a student, you don't have many options. Even if you have the money, you
Mm.
and even for buying an apartment or renting a apartment which is non-student,
Yeah.
it's downright impossible. People will just outright say, no, you're a student. We cannot even rent you the apartment.
Yeah. And
Uh,
also like yeah,
yeah, go
also
on.
there's also yeah, some accommodations they only want Dutch nationals, they only want Dutch speaking or European speaking people, European like nationals, which is quite yeah, it limits an international student's opportunities. Um they want Dutch speaking people so that they integrate better in the houses. So these things can seem very discriminating initially.
Yeah,
And I'm not denying that they are, but these preferences are also there in the,
yeah.
housing market.
But I would like to like okay, I'm just wanted because I've had much more like I've had people talk to me about this. I've also experienced living with landlords, and I've
Yeah.
gained in like the insight that I've gained over the last 3 4 years is that uh they're actually doing us a favor by a lot of people who own houses, a lot of old people. They actually create space in their houses so that they can actually uh, house these students because they're actually paid by the government. They were paid in the past as well to create these spaces. So it is kind of understandable that they want, Dutch speaking people.
Yeah.
Because for,
No, you're
let's say for an old couple who's created some space in their house to accommodate some students,
yeah.
they need to be comfortable as well. They need to have some sense of comfort with the people living with them. Although the fact is, Netherlands is one of the most highest English speaking countries, and you will find a lot of English speaking people, even the old ones.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who lives in like a very remote area in south of Netherlands, and even there, they have seen like old people who can speak English perfectly. But yeah, I mean, I can also kind of understand why this discrimination is there, which is, by the
Mm.
way, illegal here. But it happens.
It's
But
happening.
that kind of does set the precedent of what the state of this country is, because if you've got to a point where you have to ask the locals of the country to accommodate the students, that means there's a big housing issue. That means that
There's
there is, yeah.
yeah, there's
And
definitely
yeah.
yeah.
Like I read an article maybe a year back that to resolve the housing crisis,
Yeah.
they need to build like 1 million homes in the next 5 years, which
Yeah.
is basically impossible.
It really is. It's a very pressing situation because in the Netherlands they have a lot of like career opportunities, like not career opportunities but study opportunities. A lot of
Yeah,
really good courses are stemming from the Netherlands, so a lot of students are definitely getting more attracted to it.
yeah,
Especially because the UK now, since Brexit, has become very expensive. So the
yeah,
next best option is for the most people the Netherlands.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, Netherlands definitely has its housing issues, but you're right. As especially for like I can say for engineering, Netherlands is top in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's big. Like job market also is it's pretty big here. But we can touch upon that more in another episode. We would like to talk more about what it's like living as a student here. So living with different kinds of roommates, a very, very international environment. I've lived with roommates and the landlord. It's like, and with the landlord as well. So how is it having a
Yeah.
living situation like that? And living on your own as an Indian student who's coming from a very, uh, yeah, traditionalistic Indian background or just you know how you perceive Indians. They're like always kept in a very uh what is this? What's the word for it? Uh, protected environment. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how is it for them living here? So would you? Okay, I'll start with that actually. So for me, as I just said, I've also grown up in a very protected environment. I didn't really have much skills when I came here in terms of cooking, cleaning, and I think it goes without saying every person who comes here, or at least most people who come here, have to learn these things because you
Yeah.
have to do everything on your own. And yeah, so I started off living with one roommate, and for me it was a bit like unusual because I didn't get to choose that roommate through my uni, and they gave me like a girl to live with, and which is a bit unusual. It doesn't really happen that often. But yeah, I didn't have a say in that. And before I touch upon that, I would just say like how it was for me living here. The fact that you have to, make your own, get your own groceries, cook your own food, eating out, it's very expensive, and it's just not feasible at many, like, unless you're like ultra rich, it's not feasible to eat outside. And the food also, it's not that great that you actually feel like eating outside all the time.
Mm.
So for me, yeah, it was cooking, getting groceries, walking in the crazy winds and the everlasting rain that's always here in the Netherlands. The weather here is just like that. And yeah, learning how to clean your room, uh, do the dishes, do the laundry. So it was definitely something that I had to get used to. And yeah, living with roommates always comes with its own tasks as well. It's always nice to have a person that you gel with, because then you have somebody to talk to. Like for me, it wasn't like I didn't really gel with my roommate that much. And
Mm.
here you'll find a lot of people also doing weed. So if you don't if it doesn't suit you, then it becomes really hard to communicate with your roommate as well. But I would say the harder part is when you have to keep the apartment clean because you're living in a shared space. So
Yeah.
how do you decide on rules? How do you decide that those rules are actually met? You know, if they are not able to follow the rules, how do you approach them? Because that's something that's really hard. And even now, living with roommates, that's sometimes hard for me to do. How to approach them if they're not following certain things. Uh, how to make sure that who's going to buy the toilet paper, or are you buying your stuff yourselves, cleaning supplies, all of that.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Like for me also. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
no, so what do you like? How was it for you? Like maybe give one example of where you had to, kind of deal with all of these things, and what what did
Yeah,
you
but
do?
like given the fact that I stayed in multiple places and I made like a lot of different experiences, I'll just like cumulatively say what um what was a struggle for me at the beginning, and like just from a grand scheme of experiences. Definitely, you mentioned the weed. It was very intimidating for me because I don't smoke, so it was something that was I didn't really find a touching point with those roommates of mine because I just couldn't deal with the smell. Some
Yeah,
of them were very hygienic with it. They would smoke outside and like you would smoke in their rooms with the window open, but some of them would smoke in the kitchen or in the bathroom.
yeah, and
And
then
it would
become
really
inapproachable. Yeah.
yeah, they become inapproachable, and it's also like for me, it was just disgusting.
Mm,
I did not like the smell of weed while cooking, so it was very hard for me to communicate that with them because there was already this judgment in my mind, and on top of that, they seemed very like not interested, and they didn't seem to care about the other roommates. A second problem was cleanliness in the kitchens because we all had our each individual rooms, so that was not a problem. But kitchen and bathroom cleaning or like the common areas, not I like in all of my experiences, I would say that most rooms aren't really clean and they don't really value and want to put the time into cleaning, and that really makes it tough when you're really finicky about it, especially. Um, so there was no concept of cleaning. You would find like in every place I moved in, I would find empty bottles of I don't know, empty cans, empty bottles of wine, alcohol, like
Mm.
something like the drill was to first clean that up, throw everything away, because I feel like in the Netherlands and maybe also in other countries, like in these student homes, people just don't take away empty
Yeah,
stuff. Like I took three big IKEA bags full of
yeah.
wine bottles out of one home that I was
Now,
staying
now
in.
we're talking about student homes, by the way. There's many other
Yeah,
living
just student
situations.
home. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's very different, but it can also be a lot of fun. It's just these small cultural differences was something that I really had to get used to initially. Like, or
yeah,
not cultural differences, but just like life as a student.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very common that even I've people, friends in US who have the same situation. They're living in a apartment, which is a student apartment. You know, you always have to deal with the shitty
Yeah.
roommates, the uncleanliness, the lack of hygiene,
Yeah.
and what I have seen is that at least I'm just going to say from the US perspective and also the Indian perspective, I know people who lived in these student homes usually live with, similar age students. But
Mm.
that's something I've seen that different in Netherlands is that even in these student houses and accommodations, you will have people who are much older, people who are doing completely something else, might not even be
Yeah.
students. And this could be through subleasing also. Like when people sublease, sometimes they just give the home to anybody and they don't even tell the landlord. So how was your
Yeah.
experience with that?
I actually like had quite a few experiences with that, because in the first home that I stayed, there were a lot of people, like working people staying. So they had a very
Yeah,
different culture, very different work timings, which to me was very overwhelming, because they would come in, come out whenever they wanted in the home, and you would just hear at night somebody coming in really late. And also in my previous home, like last home that I stayed in, there was a man like in his 40s or so staying, and he seemed really depressed, and he would just smoke in his room, and I would feel it would really weird me out. Like,
yeah,
I'm sharing a bathroom, I'm sharing a kitchen with a man who's communication wise completely unapproachable. He's just drinking, smoking in his room.
yeah,
It made me feel very unsafe as well. Like
mm,
those experiences made me just like not regret, but because you don't really have necessarily a choice where you live as long as you have a roof on your head. But like I felt very uncomfortable, because I was quite young, and there's like a 40-year-old in the same
yeah,
in the
yeah.
same place that I'm living in.
Like because out like in general, Netherlands is a very safe country, but where it gets kind of unsafe is where the home you're living in itself. It's not
Yeah,
unsafe as per se, but like you kind of when you're living here, you have to kind of integrate into living here as well. Because
yeah,
you might be
exactly.
living with those 40-year-olds, or you might be living with a Dutch couple who has given you a room in their home. So
Yeah,
you have
like
to, you
I think this applies. Everyone should see what suits them best. For me, it
yeah,
was just a bit uncomfortable, because yeah, like I just didn't have any touching point with that person. And when you live with somebody, it's very, very like personal. You're sharing a kitchen, you're sharing a
yeah,
bathroom, you have house responsibilities.
yeah,
You don't want to walk out of your room at night and then just be confronted with a drunk 40-year-old.
yeah,
But he was also on a sublet, like he was subletting from a student who
yeah,
desperately needed somebody to take over his rent for those 3, 4 months. So
yeah, yeah.
was it was that type of equation where you don't really have a say. But
And you also, even though you have grown up in Germany, you've also come from a Indian background, semi-protected to protected background, with your parents always. So does that play any factor in when, you're living with different kinds of people who are from different walks of life? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I do think that Indian parents can be quite protective no matter where
Mm,
they are. But I feel like my upbringing exposed me to a lot of different people already early on, um, through like different experiences, summer camps, this that you meet people, but mostly of your own age, and you have some interests that keep you connected. for me it was definitely a big step, and I feel like this goes for everyone from every culture, that when you're in a new country, new place, you just have everybody has some inhibitions,
Yeah. So
initially.
you would say you weren't really from that like protected kind of background.
Not necessarily, not to a large extent that many Indians who are coming from India would be,
Yeah, just like
because
me,
the
for
Dutch
example.
and the German
Yeah.
culture is also not that different.
Okay.
But how is it for you? Because you
Yeah,
have,
as I said, right, like I've just everything was done for me, and I didn't really have experience living with different kinds of people because that's when you learn how to deal with people as well.
yeah,
Like, okay, if you're doing something wrong, what do you, or something that's not you're comfortable with, how do you approach them, or have the
yeah,
confidence to do that, or how to live as a collective, because I think a lot of students struggle with that. How to live as a group, how to live as a
yeah,
collective household,
yeah,
because yeah, like just from my experience, managing a household, a big household, especially because here you have to realize the scale of everything is small. Everything is small. The stairs in a house are so small that it's you. Yeah, you might be so shocked. You'll be like, "What? This is like a small. Like the whole house looks like a small attic sometimes." So you have to realize in India where everything is big, right? Big houses, everything is grand. It is hard to like manage a household, and then you realize these things, and then when you actually are living in a situation where you have to contribute and live with other people, there are many things that you have to take care of. It could be things breaking down, communicating that with your landlord, or things that to be rearranged, storing things. It is definitely it's a task, and you have to be to some extent on the same page with your roommates. Otherwise, it can become like a complete mess, which I think was the case in your last place, right? Would you like to elaborate on that? Where it was like complete disconnect between everybody, and everybody was just doing everything.
yeah. Like in my last place, it was really messy. We were, I think, one, two, three, four, like six people, 6 to 7 people staying in one home.
Yeah,
And everybody was doing their own thing. Like, people would cook, leave their dishes. They would just do everything at their own pace. And we would try to, channelize all of that and tell people, okay, let's make a cleaning plan, let's do this, like, let's have a trash plan, who throws the trash out. But everybody, because of their very, like, everyone had different routines. Some people would
yeah,
be working at night, some people would be only coming 2 days a week to stay in that home. It just didn't work out, and at some
mm,
point, like, it just became so chaotic. Everybody was just cleaning their own areas, and that's not
yeah.
always what is, I mean, that also helps a lot, but the common areas need to be accumulated, like, one needs to work
Q2B,
together.
yeah, yeah. I mean, other if you don't have like in some places, just like my current place, you have some cleaners who come like every month or two, to at least make the whole chaos non-chaotic.
Yeah,
If you don't have that, it kind of gets crazy. It becomes a very temporary place to live in. Also, like you told me, in your kitchen there was a mountain of trash which was not cleaned for months. Nobody would just touch. It would just keep accumulating. I would also like if I enter that, I'll be like, why should I even touch this? It's already accumulating.
and also
Uh,
the thing is, like, it would just accumulate from student to student. Like, one student would stay, leave their trash there, then the next student would come
yeah.
into the house, leave their trash, and then it's
Oh
like three
yeah. And
generations of students.
people just leave their things behind in the houses also. These student houses. I'm talking about student houses only. They just leave their things behind.
Unless
Nobody
the
cares.
landlord tells them not to.
Yeah,
But like most of them, they just leave their stuff, maybe with the thought that the next person can use it, but
yeah.
mostly they're so, like,
A lot of
they're
unusable
very
stuff
shabby
also.
things. It's
Yeah,
not something you can necessarily use again.
yeah. Well, one thing, this reminds me one thing. If you study in the Netherlands and if you're taking over a room from somebody, try to get their stuff because you might get a lot of things like tables, chairs, which I think you also did, right? You bought the
Yeah,
tables and chairs, and it was so much more convenient than going to like IKEA or something and getting it brand new, or even
yeah,
going to a secondhand store and racking your brain there. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, like for me, I've lived with roommates. Right now, I'm also living with roommates. Like my first place was uh, basically our rooms were like contained units inside an apartment. So our rooms had a bed, table, your cooking place, also your countertop as well. It was a small, very small one, but it was a decently livable. And
Yeah.
yeah, when I initially came here, it was really hard for me, not just because of the weed problem, just to communicate with, you know, just the fact that I was living with a girl. Like, first of all, I was just weirded out. I've never really lived with roommates, and that too started off with a girl. So it made things hard for me as well. I wasn't really shy, but like I didn't really know what to talk about, and we just used to go into our separate contained units and just do whatever we wanted to there. And there was no like, first of all, it was not even the environment wasn't conducive to sit down, have a meal together, because as the apartment was just like a shared bathroom, shared toilet, and just our two rooms, and that's it. There's no like common space also. You enter and then you just see the two rooms there. So
You more.
yes. So as an Indian, I would say like, as I said, I didn't have experience living with other people, so it just made it even harder. And that too, it's not like, just because she was a girl, I couldn't talk to her. It wasn't like that. But, when, at least for me, when I see it, when there's another Indian guy or Indian girl, but it was just like a girl from a different country in Europe, so it was really hard for me to connect with them. And also, come up with these cleaning schedules or cleaning plans or, uh, yeah, decide on these things, or who's gonna throw out, like, okay, we had trash in our room, so that wasn't an issue. But yeah, once I started living with my landlord, I moved to another place where I was living with a landlord and a roommate. That's when I really learned how to uh, plan all these things. Plan who's gonna throw the trash, plan who's gonna clean the bathroom, the
Yeah.
toilets, the kitchen. So there was actually more of a schedule there, and I learned how it is living in a Dutch household as well. What are the expectations? Uh, and so far, what I had noticed was that, yeah, Dutch people are very direct, and you know, unless, well, I can't say it for everybody, but for most people, it's just like they do their own thing, and then wherever there's need for conversation, or wherever there's need for to do something, or do something together, they will let you know. They don't shy away
Mm.
from that. But yeah, it's very like individualistic, I would say, and uh, yeah, very direct as well. For me, at least that's what I've noticed.
Do you think age played a factor? Because, like, I initially just asked you how old you were when you moved to the Netherlands.
Uh, I was 17.
No, that's quite young because I think most people go into college, like in Europe at least, at 18, 19, you know?
Yeah, I mean, most people who go to college in India are 17, 18. Most of them.
Okay.
And that's a pretty big number. If you say it from an Indian perspective, that's a very big number who go into college that
17.
age. Yeah, 17, 18.
Is it a
Most
big
people.
number? How come?
No, if you say most of people in India go to college around that age, then it's a big number, right? Out of 1.6 billion people.
Ah, okay, big number. I thought age-wise it's a big
No,
number.
no, no. Uh, so yeah, like even other countries like Canada, US, Australia, that's the age they're going to college.
Mm.
Um, but okay, for just Europe specifically, I mean, people were definitely shocked when they saw that, oh, I was 17. But it's not like I didn't find any other 17, 18-year-olds coming from other
Yeah.
European countries, because there are definitely European countries who also have people graduating at 17 or 18,
Mm.
especially in Eastern Europe, because I know a lot of people who were the same age as me from Eastern Europe. Uh, but age-wise, I would say it doesn't make, like, people actually have, you know it's inbuilt into their minds that you'll find people of all sorts of from different backgrounds, from all sorts of ages. I had 26-year-olds studying in my course, people who have done like 2 or 3 bachelors, and they're doing their bachelor again, like in a new
Yeah.
setting. Or yeah, as you had a 40-year-old man living in your student accommodation house as well. So I would say I did not feel that intimidated. Nobody makes it a big thing here about age.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe in the dating scene, which I don't know, I don't have a big experience in, but otherwise, like making friends, people are very open in the Netherlands, I could say. They're very open, and racism, I've not, maybe 0.5%, I would say, during my time I've experienced it in the
Yeah,
last 3-4 years.
me neither. Like, I think Netherlands is really open on that. And
Yeah.
there's so many international students that the tolerance also goes up for different people, different cultures. And yeah, on that front, I would say I've always made very positive experiences and people have been very open,
And
which
also
is really,
LGBTQ, big
and
community here.
also LGBTQ friendly. Yeah, that's, I think, very, very, very impressive how,
Yeah,
how open they are and how comfortable people from the LGBTQ community also feel in the Netherlands. They
yeah,
feel heard, they feel that, they're part of the community. That's really good. Like, I've seen this also in my university, and it was a very
yeah,
nice development.
yeah. I mean, on that front, I would say it's a bit more warm, but I still do get that, like, I would say personally, that harsh, cold feeling that, everybody has an impression of Western Europe. Like, it's cold, it's disconnected, it's individualistic. So I would say on that front, there's still like a cold, harsh feeling, at least for
Yeah,
me.
I think
But,
it's because,
yeah,
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 and I
we
think
go on.
just because it's like you're comparing it also from the Indian perspective, right? So from where in India, like everything is very like community and society based.
Yeah, that's not the case here.
Yeah.
But you still, as a student, I would say you would get a lot. You you can make good experiences here, and you can definitely find people from everywhere here. So I would say,
Mm,
as an international, Netherlands is a really good country to come to in Europe.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, it makes transition easier compared to other countries where it might be even
Mm.
harsher.
True, no, definitely, because also English is so like you can get along in English very well. Like it's not that you
Yeah,
need to know the Dutch language, but
yeah,
obviously knowing it is a big benefit. However, other European countries, you would need to know the language to even study there.
yeah. Like you said, Germany, and I know in France also it's not that easy.
Yeah,
A lot of expectations to speak French.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think we talked about a lot of things. I think that for our viewers, that'll be a lot to digest as well. Uh, but yeah, I think for this umbrella term of living in the Netherlands, I think this is good to end on for this episode of uh, accommodation in the Netherlands. And yeah, we will touch upon other things we want to in the future as well. So
Definitely. It was
yeah,
really nice,
yes,
and
thank you
I'm looking
for,
forward to the next episode.
yeah, me too. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.